Hello, all of my crafty friends. It's Kiona, the craft therapist, here with another crafty collab video with my friend Renee from Delaney Jane Cards. I am going to be using this hero art stamp set today, and this is all about our heroes and remembering 9/11. And I want to show you some of the colors that we're going to be using for our card today. And then I'm going to take you guys over to Design Space to show you kind of the card layout that I came up with. And as we're doing some coloring, I'll tell you a little bit about our crafty collab for today. So these are all of the color combinations that I think I'm going to be using when I do my coloring. I will do Memento Tuxedo Black for my inking because it is Copic safe. I'm going to be using some Nina Solar White cardstock. This is some shimmery yellow cardstock, some mirror gold cardstock. And then I am also going to be using some blue cardstock for the card that we're creating today. And I am going to be bringing in some red vinyl. And I'm going to also use white vinyl, and then we will also be using some of our blue vinyl because this is a patriotic themed card. I'm going to also bring in some of my black vinyl to help set this card off. You guys know that I love to use vinyl on my cards because I feel like it just adds another level of dimension. So what we're going to do now is we're going to go over to Design Space, and this is the card layout that I've created. This is going to be kind of my flag and the background, and those are all of the pieces that I'll be using vinyl for. So we're going to ungroup it so you can kind of see what I have laid out here. These are all of what I consider the essential workers, and then we're going to have the pieces to the flag that will also have kind of a background piece to them so that all of the vinyl will have some place to nicely adhere to. So all of those things will go together, and I'm going to just kind of get these silhouettes aligned how I want them to look on the card. I'm trying to get as many of what I consider some of our essential workers as possible onto the workspace that I have. As usual, I am creating a 5x7 card. But this card is going to be a little bit of a Funfold, which is why I'm using my Cricut to create my card base. So I'm going to go ahead and group that together and bring you guys back over so you can see kind of the design of the card that I have. This is going to be kind of a Z-fold card, and you see that I have it scored at 2.5 and 5. And then I have these panels that will be a 1/4 of an inch shorter on either side just to give me a nice border. And then I'm going to also use my Cricut to create the inside writing of the sentiment for the card that you see right here. So now that we have all of those things put together, I can go ahead to Design Space and click Make It and go ahead and let my Cricut cut out everything that I want for me on my different mats. So once we get all of those pieces cut out, we're going to get started with our stamping. So this is the piece that Cricut wrote out for me. And I am going to take that hero stamp from Honeybee Stamps, and I'm going to ink up that stamp with my Memento Tuxedo Black, and I'm going to stamp that at the bottom of this sheet. Now, I'm using the Nina Solar White Classic Crest 80-pound cardstock, and that's because I am going to be doing some Copic coloring. Now, I've also done some masking. I'm going to mask out each of those letters because I'm going to take some of the other elements from that Honeybee stamp set, and I'm going to be kind of using those to create a little bit of a scene, not really a scene, but so that I can show some layering on this portion of the card. So I'm going to take my time and I'm going to go ahead and mask out each of these areas and get all of those done so I can continue to create my stamping. Now, when you're doing masking, you're kind of stamping front to back. So because I want this hero to be at the front, I stamped that out first and then went ahead and masked that. And then once I get that done, I can go ahead and lay out my other elements that I want to fall behind it. And the more layering that I would be doing, I would continue this step over and over, just doing everything in regard to going from front to back. So if I wanted another layer behind these dog tags, then I would mask that out and then put something else beside it. but this is going to be the end. I'm just doing one set of layering so that this does not become too complicated. Once I get everything laid out where I want it to be, I'm going to again stamp that up with my Memento Tuxedo black ink, and I am going to do that because there's going to be Copic coloring. If it sounds like I am talking with a lisp, I probably am due to some dental work. So please excuse me if you've heard that in my last couple of videos. I hope that I will be back to speaking more eloquently. I don't know whether I ever speak very eloquently, but more clearly soon. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to remove our mask, and then we're going to get into some of our Copic coloring. So while we're doing the Copic coloring, as I said, this is a collaboration video, and I am so delighted that I am getting to do a video with my friend Renee from Delaney Jane Cards. Now, you guys will be able to look in the description box below, and you will find a link to her video, which will also be a tribute to remembering 9/11. I was so happy that we were able to get together and do this video collaboration and to have it come to you guys on 9/11, actually the 20-year anniversary. I did not even realize that it was a 20-year anniversary when we discussed doing this collaboration. For many of you guys who have been around and have followed me for a while, you know that my husband is in the military, and he has been in active duty for 19 years and was in the National Guard prior to that. And so this moment in time was very real and very scary for us, and kind of took our family and our life on a whole nother road trip that I don't think that anyone could have anticipated on September 10th, 2001. You know, it was just that close. You would have never thought that that would have been where our nation would have become so vulnerable in such a small amount of time. And subsequently, that took our family on a series of deployments over the next 8 years. And I am just so grateful for not only my husband and the military who have so diligently served our country, but also just to be able to, you know, pay tribute to all of our heroes, all of the people who do the things selflessly and sacrifice every day so that we can be comfortable and enjoy some of the things that we quite often, I think, may take for granted because it is just a norm in our lives. So I had such a wonderful time creating this card and being able to do this as a collaboration with my friend Renee from Delaney Jane Cards. So please make sure that you guys leave us a comment in the comment section. I would like to know, where were you and what were you doing on 9/11/2001? What do you remember about that day? I remember vividly, like down to the outfit that I was wearing and the moment that I looked up at the television to see the second plane crash. I was actually in my senior year in high school at that time, and I was in my government class that my professor would always tell me that I was probably not going to pass because it was 8 o'clock in the morning when I took his class, or 9 o'clock, and it was too early for me to be awake. I was never a morning person, so if I didn't have anything that was pressing, I would take that time to snooze a little bit more, and he didn't necessarily like that. So I do remember that day very clearly, and so I would like to know where you were and what you were doing on 9/11, 20 years ago. Please make sure that you share in the comments with us. We love to hear from you. I love chatting with you guys in the comments. You guys know that your comments and your discussions in the comment section are like the highlight for me. I love going in and having the opportunity to chat with you guys and get to know you guys and to be able to really build a community with you guys. So thank you guys so very much. Even before you go in and leave that comment, thank you so much for all that you do and all of the support that you give. So you guys see that I have gone in and I've started doing my Copic coloring, and I am just doing shading with a center highlight for these first two images, just because I wanted to give it kind of a rounded effect. And so whenever I'm looking for something to look more rounded, that's typically what I do. When I am doing this hero sentiment, what I'm going to do is kind of do an ombre. So I'm going to be coloring from bottom to top and allowing my colors to fade into each other with this purple Copic combination that I am using. So I am using a BV09 as my darkest color, and then I am using a B17 and a B15 as my other two colors in this combination. And I'm just going to go from darkest to lightest and try to fade those colors in as it goes up each of the letters. I just thought that that would be a cute little touch to this card, and I really liked the idea of decorating what is going to be the inside sentiment of the card, but allowing it to peek through the front of the card. So once you guys see, as we start to get the card put together, this is the reason why I have the hero stamped down at the bottom in this way, because it will show a bit under our card before you actually get it completely open. I hope that's making a little bit of sense. So I'm going ahead and finishing that up, and then I'm going to use that same Copic combination to color in the stethoscope that we're using here, and using the same color combination. So I was trying to stay within these three color families to do all of my coloring. I did bring in a little bit of a earth tone combination to color in the book, but other than that, I tried to use our grays, the reds, and the purples, just to kind of try to keep the card in sync. I didn't want to bring in too many color combinations, because if you're anything like me, you start with your Copic combinations and then your entire desk has been taken over by markers. And so I was trying to minimize that as much as I could in this video. So that's why I kind of tried to keep those very minimal. So you see, I did a darker color on the spine of the book at the top and the bottom. And again, I'm going for that kind of rounded effect. So I'm going to go from dark to light and try to have the lightest portion in the very center, so that I can give that spine of the book a very rounded appearance as well. I did my shadowing around the apple because the apple is sitting on top of the book. So I attempted to be mindful of my shading in that area. And that was the reason where I put the shadows for the top of the book. And then I'm just doing some small strokes to show the book pages. So this is kind of what we come up with. And then we're going to get to move on to creating the next part of our card. So these are all of the silhouettes and the different pieces that Cricut has cut out for us so that we can get ready to put our card all together. So we're going to start out with doing our flag. Now I'm just using some contact paper, and like I've said previously, I usually get my contact paper from the dollar store because it has just enough tack for me to be able to use it on my cards where my vinyl will stick to it, but it will not tear my cardstock. So I typically try to use my contact paper when I am using vinyl on my cards. So what I did there was I tried to eyeball and center that white piece on our gold piece as well as I could. Now I'm going to layer my red lines on top of that, and then I will layer my blue stars on top of that. And so I'm just trying to be as careful as possible to get this lined up as straight as I can. And it wasn't too difficult to do, so that was a very good thing. And then the last thing that I have to line up are our stars in the center, and I just kind of did a reverse weeding in that piece so that I could try to get that all weeded as easily as possible. So once I get that put down, that's going to be our flag portion to our card, and this is what that comes up looking like. And now I will be able to layer each of our silhouette pieces on top of this card. Now, another reason that I really like using vinyl when I'm doing my cards is because I don't have to worry about glue and the messes with glue and glue squeezing out when you have very small and intricate pieces. So sometimes vinyl is just so much easier to work with because it's already sticky and it just works really well. So I continue to go in and just get my pieces lined up, and I'm trying to put those first two pieces on the outer edges so that I can make sure that I have enough space for where I am going to put the inside pieces. I just want to make sure that I have enough space to put in each of my silhouettes, and so that they can sit onto the front of the card nicely and have their own areas. So once we get that all done, then we can move on to working on creating the actual card base of the card. So this is what it looks like once we get all of those layered on there. I just really love the way that this card is coming together. So now I'm going to use my mirror cardstock and this blue cardstock. This is the Midnight cardstock, I believe, by Brutus Monroe, and I'm just going to score that in the areas where I had my Cricut create my score lines. And you can kind of see that Z fold that I was speaking of in how I'm going to have this card fold. So that's kind of the fold that we're going for this card, and I wanted to have a really crisp fold line for that. And then I'm going to use my Tombow Mono multi-glue, and that's what I'm going to use to glue on these gold mirror cardstock pieces for each of those panels. And this will leave about 1/8 of an inch border all the way around, and I'm trying my best not to get my glue smears all over my card, and I have to wipe it off with baby wipes and hope that it doesn't leave any streaks. So I'm going to continue to do that and go on and put in each of those pieces on the panels of the card, leaving, like I said, that 1/8 of an inch border all the way around. And then I will be able to move on to putting our inside piece and our front cover onto the card. So this is what we have so far, and I really think it's coming out really cute. And so now I'll be able to place my inside panel that will also be able to be seen from the outside onto the inside panel of the card. So I kind of tried to center that as well as I could, and so you guys can see that now what I want to do is kind of have the silhouette piece kind of centered so that when you open it, you kind of have this. And like I said, I wanted it to have kind of that peeking effect so that you can see all of those pieces. So this is kind of what our card looks like once we're all said and done. I really love this little fun fold that we came up with. I thought it came out super, super cute, very shimmery, but it can be unisex. That's one of the other reasons why I love my mirror cardstock. I can refrain myself from using all the glitz and glam, but I'm going to have to use a little bit of my Wink of Stella pen because, of course, we need just a tad bit of shimmer in everything that we do. So I'm going to go ahead and use that shimmer pen to go over the whole word hero and then the other elements that we have on the card to add a little bit of shimmer and shine. And then I decided that I wanted to pull a little bit more of that purple because, of course, I love purple. So I wanted to pull a little bit more of that purple into the card, and I decided to bring in some of my Nuvo drops and just add a couple of drops sporadically in different areas on our card panels. And once I am done with that, that is going to pretty much finish our card. I hope that you guys like this. I cannot wait to talk to you guys in the comment section below. Please make sure you hop over to Delaney Jane Cards and visit Renee and tell her that I sent you, and let her know what you think about this collaboration. I will hope to hear from you guys soon. Have a great day. Bye-bye.